Hey guys, welcome back to r/EntitledPeople. As usual, it is time for more Reddit stories, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get into it, friends. Karen threatened to sue us when she basically just left her teens with us. I would have posted this on Entitled Kids, but their Karen mother was just as bad, so I'll post this story here instead. Because this happened on a weekly basis, with these types of customers who act like our theater was their personal babysitting service, and freak out when they can't find their child and try to blame us instead. I'm not going to go into depth on what these kids were doing because I've posted other stories of what many of these kids were doing. I'll just make a quick highlight of what led to them getting kicked out. They get tickets, but instead of staying in their auditorium, they hop from one movie to another. We repeatedly get noise complaints until we decide, no, you're not getting a refund or compensation for causing trouble, and we're asked repeatedly to stop. They are told to call their parents and leave. They all say, we'll call our parents or friends or relatives to pick us up, but said whoever are either not picking up or taking their time to pick them up, and the kids are now running amok in the lobby, still causing trouble and trying to sneak back into the auditoriums. We have enough and kick them out officially, and due to it being closing time, doors are already closed, and we're cleaning up when I hear, knock knock knock. Can I come wait inside? Sorry, we're closed. But it's cold out here and my parents aren't here yet. There's a gas station across the parking lot you can wait at. Go there, we're closed, said the manager. They usually keep knocking until security walks over, then they bolt away. No, this is before Uber or Lyft was a thing. At most, there were taxis, but I'm not sure how late they run since it was around midnight as this was happening. By the time my coworkers and I finished, it was pitch black. My ride was outside, and security was just making sure everyone got to their cars all right before heading back inside. I see these teens just hanging out just outside the building, around the far sides of the building. But afterwards, I'm not sure how they got home, since it's not my job to babysit them. The next day, the cry of a Karen screams, "Why did you make my babies walk home in the dark? They could have been kidnapped." And the security responds, "Ma'am, we had your teens call you repeatedly, but no one was responding and we were closing." So you're okay with letting kids get kidnapped? How dare you? I'm going to sue you all and get all of you people fired. Before storming off and never appearing again. Again, we're a movie theater, not a free babysitting service. It's your own fault for not picking up your own kids or teens. Don't expect us to drop your own kids or teens off at home for you. Heck, if one of the night managers literally bikes 2 hours home in the dark because she doesn't have a working car, then you can afford to come pick up your kids and teens, Karen. Mother is upset I use my first name in class. I teach philosophy and epistemology to high schoolers. I'm also fairly young for a high school teacher. I introduce myself as Faye, my given first name, which has been my given name since birth, to my students. Well, I got an email from a parent, reading, "Miss Betancourt, this is Karen and I'm Kevin's mother. I'm deeply disturbed that you allow students to call you by your first name, and believe this is unprofessional and confuses children. My child's test scores clearly reflect this, as your class is the only one he is struggling in, and as he has maintained an outstanding academic performance, it is clear that you are the problem. I highly suggest that in order to better teach my child, you reflect on this and begin to use your professional name." So I responded, "Karen, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm awfully glad you are so concerned with your child's performance in my class. As you might not be aware, I do not grade homework or tests as official standing, and they go only to show an empiricist view of one's performance. Don't worry, this means the grade you see in the system will be different from the final grade, as your child will have a 100% in my class. This was made clear in my syllabus. You should also note that I attach my comments for every assignment and include an annotated copy of your child's exams and essays so that they may see where they need to improve. If you have specifics about concepts your child is struggling with and ways that might better help him learn these concepts, I'd be more than happy to meet with you over coffee or tea to discuss with you." So she responds, "The annotations are incredibly vague and abstract and offer little insight into how my child, who is brilliant, may improve. However, I see you mark him wrong every time he refers to you as Miss Betancourt and replace it with Faye. It is illogical to ask of a child to indulge in using such a silly name. I highly advise you quit marking my child wrong for using your professional name in his essays. Likewise, I believe that as you are his teacher, you should use your professional name." So I decide to be petty and respond, Thank you for your response. I appreciate how illogical and unsound your argumentation is, as this is a perfect example of Hume's law. I shall be using this to model in-class examples of bad argumentation from now on. Thank you for the free class materials. I got a response back from her, but didn't respond. Edit. To the one person who tried to argue I should use my surname, you get A- for effort, but a D+ for execution for falling victim to the same logical trap as the mother. And here's a brief explanation on what Hume's law is. The is-ought problem, as articulated by the Scottish philosopher and historian David Hume, arises when one makes claims about what ought to be that are based solely on statements about what is. So basically, because most teachers use their surname, OP ought to use hers as well. Otherwise, it's unprofessional, according to the mother. Want to charge us extra for something that didn't happen? Have fun with your reviews tanking. This happened a few years ago. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, and I used to vacation in Asheville, booking cabins through a rental company. She grew up there and loved it. Plus, she had friends and family in the area that we would visit while there. One of the rules the company had was that no extra guests were allowed to stay overnight, or there would be a fee. This rule never bothered us, as we never planned on having that. But we did invite a couple of my girlfriend's friends over to hang out for a little while. They got there around 7 to 8 and stayed until about 11 p.m. before heading home. We finished the trip, had a great time, and went home thinking all was good. A couple days after we got home, I got an email from a woman in the rental company who claimed that their maintenance guys saw that we had people stay over, and we were being charged an extra $200 for breaking occupancy rules. Next came a back and forth between her and I, where I told them no one stayed overnight, and that they left around 10:30 to 11 p.m. But she claimed to me that occupancy is anyone being in the cabin at all, which made no sense. I looked up the legal definition of occupancy, which did not side with her, but she told me it didn't matter and they would charge me the extra $200. Between my girlfriend and I, we got about 8 people with 20 different Google accounts, all leaving 1-star reviews on the company's Google page. This took their rating of around 4.4 all the way down to mid-3 stars. It was a local company. Well, someone higher up must have gotten wind of this, and they knew exactly who did it. Within a couple hours, I got several emails from the original woman and her supervisor apologizing for the misunderstanding and asking how they could get us to take down the bad reviews. After telling them it was clearly not a misunderstanding, I told them to kick rocks since they wanted to treat us that way. And long story shorter than it could be, we ended up getting an offer of $200 off our next visit if we took the reviews down. And they obviously refunded me that extra $200 plus another $100 off that stay. Karen, I hope you understand what occupancy means now, if you still have a job. Karen refuses to buy a bus ticket, gets herself arrested. If you take public transit and your phone dies due to a 7-year-old battery, you may sometimes get a comedy show straight from Monty Python himself, such as on a particular Thursday evening. I peacefully sat on the bus after a long day at university, staring out the window, when some male voice interrupts my semi-dissociative state, saying, "Please show your tickets, everyone." Nothing out of the ordinary, I assume, until I see a woman speed walking towards the front of the bus in the utmost corner of my eye. I think nothing of it, show the about 30-ish looking ticket inspector my ticket, and continue staring out the window, until I overhear the following conversation. The ticket inspector says, "I saw you run towards the front of the bus as soon as I asked for the tickets. Get out at the next stop or you will be fined." "No, I just hopped on the bus on main train station, and thus I went to buy a ticket," said Karen. "We got on at main train station and you were in the bus since before then, as you were not on the bus stop with us." "You are obviously lying. You just didn't see me because I entered before you, on main train station." Meanwhile, the bus has reached the next stop. "I don't have time for this. Get out or you will be fined." "I am not leaving, you liar." "Alright then, that'll be a €60 fine for you." The bus left for the next station at this point in time, which is right next to the police station. "No, I was going to buy a bus ticket after I have just gotten off the bus. You pathetic liar," Karen said. "Name and family name?" the ticket inspector asked. "No, I will not accept your fine and I will not give you my name." "Fine by me. Then show me your ID and I'll gladly fill out the fine ticket myself." "I don't have an ID with me, and you are still a liar." The ticket inspector over the radio says, yeah guys, can two of you come over? We got a very uncooperative passenger here who refuses to fill out the fine ticket. Wait, what? How dare you? Karen says. Meanwhile, the random guy sitting next to me and I are chuckling. The ticket inspector still over the radio. Gotcha, awesome, thanks. Then says to Karen, well, as you refuse to leave the bus, I will have you escorted off the bus by police, and the bus will stay here until you get out. And believe me, now you will not be able to go away that early. This is unacceptable. I will get you fired for this, Karen said. See you in court, LOL. Yes, he actually unironically said LOL. It's always you immigrants and young spoiled brats who ruin the lives of us hardworking German adults. This is the reason why this country is going to crap, said Karen. And the ticket inspector with a smirk responds, I am born in Germany, but I will gladly accept the compensation for emotional damages. At that, Karen let out a shriek of despair, anger, and something else, of what I can only describe as demonic qualities. The bus stopped at the aforementioned stop, waited for 2 minutes, and I saw two men in blue approaching, looking supremely pissed, as if they were just put on this last assignment as they were about to go home. Alright ma'am, I'm going to ask you nicely to get off the bus once. Karen storms out of the bus. The ticket inspector leaves as well. As soon as the doors closed, some people burst into straight-up laughter, including the driver. I had a genuine urge to clap after this performance. Horrible roommate now almost 30K in debt. So my friend, I'll call her Melissa, a 22-year-old female, let an old high school pal, I'll call her Karen, a 25-year-old female, move into her house about a year back. She brought along with her her big dog and 2-year-old son. Melissa knew this would be a big change, but Karen assured her they were both well behaved, and she needed a place to stay to get away from her baby daddy, who we later found out was actually a really sweet guy. Problems started almost immediately. The dog ruined Melissa's couch, and Karen did not respect my friend's house. She left trash and food everywhere. Karen constantly invited her baby dad to stay the night, despite Melissa saying he was not allowed in her house. The dog and Karen tormented Melissa's 1-year-old cat to the point where the poor thing never came out anymore. Then to top it off, when Melissa told Karen she had to leave after about 5 to 6 months, Karen resorted to verbally abusing Melissa, spreading horrible lies to people, and it's a small town, making fun of medical conditions Melissa has, and saying incredibly inappropriate and insensitive things about her mother, who struggles with alcoholism. There's more, but let's get to the revenge part. Melissa went no contact after she kicked Karen out. Fast forward about a month and she receives a call from Karen while she's at the JFS, Job and Family Services office. She was asking if she could use Melissa's address for her insurance to quote-unquote save a buck. My friend said absolutely not, and that she doesn't appreciate being asked to commit insurance fraud, then hung up. She stewed for a moment, then called back. But she didn't call Karen. She called JFS to report her. Karen apparently used her address anyway, and was trying to get out of a bunch of medical bills she had stacked up. She was hit with a $28K fine. How did my friend find this out? From Karen's baby daddy. They bonded over this, and had started seeing each other. Oops. Anyway, I definitely am glad I'm on Melissa's good side. Jokes. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it, and even more so if you subscribe as well. So I'm out of here. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.